Happy Thursday! Welcome to the Legal Tea with LT. This is where I spill about important legal issues in the amount of time that it takes me to steep a cup of tea. This spring we're talking about probate, and as always, these videos are not meant to take the place of talking to an attorney. They're just meant to give you a general educational overview of these topics. So make sure that you reach out to an attorney to talk about your specific probate issue, but I hope that these videos can be helpful. This week, we are going to talk about why you care about probate. Why should you care about probate? I think in Texas, we don't know what probate is. Other states, the probate process has a reputation for being really timely or really expensive. And so people know what probate is in other states because they want to avoid it. In Texas, our probate process doesn't have that reputation, and that's a good thing. But it also means a lot of my clients don't even understand what the probate process looks like or why they should care about it. So today I'm just going to give you 2 reasons why you need to understand the probate process. No matter how old you are, where you are in your life, it's going to help you understand what happens after you lose a loved one, and it's also going to help you plan your own estate better. Okay, so let's understand what happens after we lose a loved one. Whenever we are here on earth, we collect things. So you collect the clothes in your closet, the money in your bank account. Some people collect cards, baseball cards, dolls. And whenever you collect something, your ownership is attached to it. And the best example of that is our house. So our name is on the deed to our home. It might be on the deed to our home along with our spouse, or it might just be there by itself. When you pass away, that ownership is not automatically transferred to somebody else. And so the probate process allows us to erase your ownership from something and transfer it to another person. The best example that I can give you, I have client after client who's married to their spouse for 50 years. And their spouse predeceases them, and they're living in the home that they've had together with their spouse for 30 years, the majority of their time together. But when their spouse dies and their husband or wife dies, their kids decide, okay, it's time for mom to move in with me. And in order to do that, they're going to sell the house. And her name is on the deed, but when they go to sell the house, her husband's name is on the deed. Her spouse's name is also on the deed. Whenever her husband passed away, his ownership interest did not automatically transfer to her, even though they were married. And so in order to clear title to that home for her and the kids to sell that house, we go through the probate process. The probate process allows us, with houses, bank accounts, car titles, you name it, to take the ownership associated with somebody and their things, to clear it and transfer it to somebody else after they die. So if you have a will, you tell everyone who you want that ownership transferred to. And if you don't have a will, the state of Texas tells everybody who that ownership is going to transfer to. So the second reason you understand the probate process, the first reason is it's going to help you understand what happens when somebody passes away. When somebody passes away, you have got to erase the ownership to their belongings and transfer it to somebody else. But it'll also help you plan your estate better. So there are ways that we can automatically transfer that ownership. A great example is pay on death with your bank. So if you list somebody as pay on death on your bank account, the second that you pass away, your ownership is erased from all the dollars in that bank account, and it's transferred to your pay on death. The person you put as pay on death becomes owner of everything in that bank account immediately. So there are tools that we can use in other areas with other assets that you have in your estate to create that same kind of relationship. So for example, in the house, a transfer on death deed. So my clients whose husband predeceased her that we've talked about, if they had a transfer on death deed that said, okay, whenever I pass away, my house is going to pass on solely in the name of my wife, it would erase her husband's ownership and put her in sole ownership of the home after he passed away immediately. And then they would be able to sell the house while avoiding probate. There are a lot of complications to that. As lawyers will tell you all the time, things are more complicated than they seem, but that is a really good overarching example. So if you're interested in planning your estate to make things more simply or done more simply, then reach out to your attorney and we can talk about all the different ways to transfer properly automatically when somebody dies. All right, so that is why I think you need to care about probate. One, you need to be prepared and know what happens when somebody passes away. And two, it can help you better plan your estate. If you have any questions about either of those things, as always, don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, have a blessed Thursday, and we'll talk soon.